Hi, I'm Willa Kaiser, and I'm the director of the Caduceus Institute of Classical Homeopathy, where we train health professionals, homeschooling moms, and anyone who would like to learn classical homeopathy to help their clients, their patients, friends, family, and community. And it's been a bit of a rough time lately with Hurricane Ian causing so many losses of homes and lives in Florida, and there have been wildfires out in the western part of the country as well this summer. I myself ended up evacuating twice in the month of September from very dangerous wildfires in my community. In one of them, several people passed away, and many houses were burned down. So I've had firsthand experience with the devastation that some of us have experienced this summer. So I wanted to just share with you 4 of my favorite homeopathic remedies for dealing with situations such as floods, wildfires, and other kinds of stressful events. So the first remedy we think of when something very sudden happens is aconite. What we say in our program is, when in fright, take aconite. And we also remember this remedy by recalling the 5 F's. Fast, when things happen fast; fear, and also it can involve fever. Of course, probably not if we're taking it for emotional shock, such as losing one's home or having to evacuate very quickly from a fire and being very frightened. But this remedy has multiple uses and is used a lot for children and in the beginning stages of inflammation, whether it is an ear infection or a cough, croupy cough. So if it is a physical problem, it can come on after a dry, cold wind, but it's really a fantastic remedy, and why I'm presenting it first for after having a very sudden, strong fright, such as would happen from an earthquake or a motor vehicle accident, or being suddenly wildfire erupting in your community, as has happened to me, as I mentioned a couple of times. So there can be a sense of presentiment of death, meaning, you feel like you're going to die or you might die very soon. Because something sudden and frightening just happened, and may even say, "Oh, maybe I'm going to die tomorrow," or something like that, or maybe this fire is going to kill me, or this earthquake is going to kill me. If there are physical symptoms involved, like an acute disease, there might be restlessness and a high fever. It's one of our first remedies we think of for croup for children. Panic attacks as well. Heart attacks, which of course can also be very sudden and frightening. So many kinds of infections and acute conditions are addressed well with aconite, but it's the first remedy we would think of when something very frightening and shocking has happened. Next remedy is one of our most popular remedies that many people already are familiar with, is Arnica. And Arnica is another fantastic remedy for shock. And the Arnica state is when you aren't really present in current time because something has happened that has put you in a state of shock. So sometimes when people get an injury, they just say, "I'm fine, I'm fine, don't touch me." That kind of thing, of not really registering that you have been injured or that something has happened that was very traumatic. So it's used a lot with any kind of injury that involves bruising of the soft tissue. It's used by surgeons to prevent swelling after surgery. So that kind of injury as well. It's used in stroke, acute sprains and bruises, one of our top remedies in head injuries as well. So it can have a physical component and addresses many kinds of physical problems, but in this case, I'm thinking of it mostly for, the shock of having been displaced, and just not be feeling really grounded. Interestingly, it has the symptom the bed feels too hard. And also, it's known for what we call sending the doctor away, just kind of telling people, no, no, I'm okay, I'm fine. But might be very obvious that you're not fine. So, Arnica can kind of help you feel more grounded. It's also a really good remedy for jet lag for the same reason that your body, you know, has a lot of adjusting to do if you take a long haul flight and cross a whole bunch of time zones. Whoops, back to Arnica here. And so if you are in a state where you feel like you haven't quite grounded in the new situation, Arnica could be helpful along with all the physical injuries and conditions that I mentioned. So the next remedy here is Ignatia. Ignatia is kind of focused on grief and shocking experiences that bring about grief, such as death of a loved one, or loss of one's house, or loss of one's pets in a flood or a wildfire. So I think Ignatia, following Aconite, probably Aconite first, but and during that grieving process where you kind of are in this shock of the loss that you have sustained. Um, and so the symptoms of Ignatia include kind of a sense of a lump in a throat and maybe some spasmodic crying. But the main thing here is, when things have just suddenly changed, it's known as being a remedy for ailments after disappointment. And in this case, we would say, yeah, you didn't expect to lose your house or your pets or the other kinds of losses we sustain in these traumatic events. So Ignatia can be super helpful in all of those. And the fourth and final remedy I'm going to present here is Arsenicum album. Arsenicum album is a great remedy for anxiety, especially when you don't know what's going to happen. And I thought about this a lot when I saw what happened with the hurricane, that it was expected to go one way, but actually it ended up going about 75 miles south. So the people down there were not prepared. So that sense of uncertainty, of things, of not having control of the situation, I think this probably comes up more in floods than in fires, because fires are very quick. You have to just, there's a fire, you need to go. That's how it can be. Fires are very fast and probably put you more into an aconite state. But I think the situation in Florida recently with Hurricane Ian was more of an arsenicum thing, where people weren't quite sure where the hurricane was going, so that sense of kind of anxiety, like things are out of control and we don't know what's going to happen. So there may be panic attacks, anxiety, all of that may come up in the middle of the night, like around 1 in the morning, and the person may feel restless, fidgety, and be compulsive about details and fixated on details. There may be some thirst for small sips, but mostly it's, feeling like things are out of control and then trying to do something about it by keeping them in control. So definitely consider arsenicum as an acute remedy. All these remedies can be used in 30C potency as acute remedies, which you can get in Whole Foods or health food stores. And all four of these remedies are easy to find. So, you could definitely try a dose of 2 or 3 pellets and just see if it helps. It's not good to consistently repeat a remedy if it isn't helping you, or just routinely, because with acute prescribing, which is what we're doing here, you want to see, some results within 2 or 3 doses, and you don't want to continue taking the remedy too frequently. So that's just a little advice on dosing there. That concludes the remedies that I wanted to share in this video. And you could consider our basic program, joining us for our basic program where we teach these remedies that we just talked about. We teach a total of 30 remedies in our basic program that takes about 6 months to complete, and then you will have some familiarity with some of the most common homeopathic remedies that you need during stressful events or in general for your family and your community and yourself. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.